guess we are back with Craig Hain and me, Kevin Hopper, and we will be discussing in this video some more content-related questions when it comes to Craig's Triad math program. Last video we left off with the practical math foundation, Craig. Could you tell us a little bit more about that?
Sure, Kevin. The practical math foundation is the mathematics you need for what I call everyday practical problems all throughout industry, landscaping, plumbing, you name it. And it involves several topics, and so we've put together the course, and this is the notebook we use for the course for the thing. These are the exercises and the notes we use, and of course it's all delivered with video lessons. And what we're talking about here are the topics we're going to cover are the TI-30XA calculator, and we're going to talk about pre-algebra, algebra, geometry, and trigonometry, those subjects.
Those two. Okay.
Now let me start out by telling you the first thing we do is we teach the student how to use this calculator, this TI-30XA. This is a wonder tool, and in fact our ancestors would probably have given fortunes to have this tool 100 years ago. It's like a miracle tool, because this lets you do all of the arithmetic you'll ever need to do for practical math automatically and easily. Forget pencil and paper, forget the manual algorithms that we've all been taught in school that are so cumbersome and difficult and error prone. This is the modern way of doing it. And of course we've got to teach our students to use these modern tools, because no employer is going to pay you to take a square root using the old manual way. Okay. Or even to do multiplication division. They want you to do it quickly and accurately, and the calculator is the key to it. So that's what we start off with. We teach them to use the calculator, and we get probably more accolades for that than anything else we do.
Now, some people would say that using a calculator limits understanding of math. What would you say to that?
Well, they don't understand.
They don't understand.
They don't understand. You need to understand what addition is, and what multiplication, and what division is. You need to understand them, and certainly you want to understand them with simple, easy numbers to do. But what you don't need is to know the algorithms that are complicated. Just think of the square root algorithm if you've ever learned it, where you've got to go through a long process. That doesn't add anything to your understanding. It's just a technique for doing it. Well, no one's ever going to do that anymore. You're going to use a calculator. And for that matter, long division. Well, what does that really teach you about division, other than here's this method of doing it? It is true that what makes math, our number system, so valuable is the decimal number system. You've got to understand that. You've got to understand that 347 is, the 3 means 300, and okay. The 4, but other than, and that the best way to understand that is with a calculator. So this is really it's been proven over and over and over again with adult education with practical people. Now after that we have a section on what we call pre-algebra, and that really is a review of arithmetic.
After the calculator training.
After the calculator.
Okay.
After the calculator. It takes most students about 2 weeks to go through the calculator lessons. There's like 19 of them.
Okay.
And then we got, I think, 10 lessons on pre-algebra. It's just really making sure they understand the distributive law and how to do things that with arithmetic that they should have learned. This is considered post-elementary. So they really ought to know that, but we want to make sure they know, so we review it. Then we go into algebra. Now this really amazes people, because most people remember algebra from school where it was a big thick book. In fact, today the algebra books they use in high school are like 950 pages long, and they're very expensive. And then this is what we do in algebra. If you go to our website and look up our table of contents, which you're not going to be able to see on here because it's going to be backwards on the video, but there are actually 10 lessons. And in fact, there's going to be a video available to people that are interested in it that actually review what we do. So it's a review video we give for our students, what they've been through it. And so they'll be able to see that. There's only 10 lessons.
For the introduction to algebra?
Yes, well, it's the algebra you need for practical math, and that would be the introduction. Now, it is true, and we'll talk about the upper tiers later, that when you go on in math, if you want to go beyond practical math, then you need more algebra. And we can talk about that in maybe a later video, what have you go on. Then we do geometry. Now, geometry has 19 lessons. This is not proving theorems like you might remember from some school course you took. This is how long should something be? What should be the area? What should be the volume? How do you deal with, and how do you combine algebra with geometry to find these things? Algebra and geometry combine together now. And you got to learn about triangles and rectangles and spheres and cylinders. And that's what we cover here. Once again, the calculator is what makes it also easy to do. And so this geometry, most people when they learn it, they go, wow, I didn't, it's so easy compared to what I remember from some school experience that I had where they were trying to make me prove theorems I didn't understand and teaching me things that, I just didn't see any point to it. And so this is all very practical. And then it turns out that the most important polygon in math, in construction, in an industry is a triangle. And the reason for that is a triangle is a three-sided polygon, and it's the only rigid polygon. If you fix the sides of the triangle, then the angles are fixed. That's why you see triangles everywhere in construction. And you got to be able to calculate anything to do with a triangle. If you know the sides, what are the angles, or vice versa. And to do that, you need a subject called trigonometry. So it's really just an extension of algebra and geometry. And so we teach them that because that's very practical if you're going to do rigging, for example, or you're going to do mechanical things. But what amazes people is our trigonometry is only 7 lessons. 7 lessons, and you learn everything you'll ever need to know about trig for practical problems. And it's easy. Why is it easy? Because on the calculator, you've got the trig keys, sine, cosine, and tangent, and the inverse trig keys. And with those 3 keys, you can do all the problems you ever need to do. It's very easy to do. And people are amazed by it. They go, oh my golly, I thought trig was this big, advanced, complicated subject. No. It's about triangles. It's about how to figure how long something is, or what should this angle be. It's real simple. Basic stuff you got to know if you're going to do this, and that's what it's about. So this whole thing, the whole Practical Math Foundation is about 65 lessons, topics. Each one has a video that explains it. It really discusses the notes. We don't expect the student to be taking notes when they watch the video. We want to be listening to the video. We have them pause a lot of times and do things along with me. That's where the interaction comes in. And then after they watch the video, they got exercises to do. And then they do the exercises. And if they don't understand, they go back and watch the video. Then they do the exercises, back and forth till they get it. It takes time, it's repetition. Then when they think they've mastered that topic, we give them a quiz. Online quiz, it's graded, it's in their records. We keep all records of their progress online.
Okay.
So that they know, their parents know, anybody that has access to it can know right where they stand, just what have they done, because it's like climbing a ladder. And you want to make sure, where are they on the ladder? What rung are they up to? And you don't want them skipping any rungs. You make them do each rung. Because if you let students skip around, then pretty soon they're up here and they miss something down below, and all of a sudden they don't understand. So that's what's called prerequisite. Make sure they've got the prerequisites. So we do that. And the whole program takes most students about 50 or 60 hours to go through.
Okay.
Some take longer. It's self-paced. If it takes 80 hours, so what? If they can do it in 30 hours, so what? I mean, that's good. It doesn't matter. In fact, if they've already got some background in it, some kids can go through it in 30 hours because they already know some of it. Other kids, if it's brand new to them, particularly the younger ones, it's going to take them 80 hours. Maybe instead of 2 or 3 months, take them 6 months. That's okay. It doesn't matter. And then they need to always be coming back and reviewing. And we give them review videos and lots of extra supplemental problems to do so that it's like a sport. The more you practice, the better you learn it.
Yeah.
And that's what we do with these students. And the results have just been phenomenal. The students love it. They learn. They get their self-esteem built up. They get confidence. And then it helps them if they do decide to go on into any technical subject. They'll go to the military. They're going to go to trade school, an apprentice program, on-the-job training. And then, of course, it gets them ready for more advanced math if they want to go beyond that. Which we can,
beyond these 2 tiers. Correct.
Yeah. We actually have a 10-tier program. These are the first 2 tiers. The calculator and the pre-algebra is tier 1.
Okay.
And we let, when somebody buys our program, if they go through tier 1 and they aren't liking, they can't learn from it, we give their money back.
Okay.
Stop.
Oh, yeah.
It ain't going to work.
Yeah.
If it's not going to work, it's not going to work. It works for almost all students, but if they don't like it and they refuse to do it, fine. I can't help them. Then tier 2 is the algebra and the geometry and the trig sequenced together. And the whole thing, like I said, takes most students 50 or 60 hours to go through. But it doesn't matter if it takes them 80 hours, who cares? Because I'll tell you something. When you learn all the mathematics that's in this Practical Math Foundation, you will know more mathematics than 95% of all the adults in the United States of America.
And not just know it, you say, you mean being able to, use it in the real world with like, great success and satisfaction.
Exactly. That's the ultimate test.
Yeah.
If you can't use it to solve the problems you run into
Do you really?
in all these different fields, then what good is it?
Yeah.
What good is it? And that's the whole idea. That, in fact, is the kind of the positive motivation to do this. This is the carrot. Hey, if you learn this, it's going to open up all sorts of things for you for job opportunities, educational opportunities, military, trade schools, apprentice programs. And so that's the carrot. We don't have a stick. The parent might have the stick saying, hey, either learn this or you don't, get a car or whatever. We can't do that. We do tell the students, you got to work to do this. This is not osmosis. I'm not a magician. I happen to be a pretty good math teacher, but I'm not a magician. And you got to work at it, just like a sport. If you're going to learn to play a sport or play chess or play anything, a musical instrument, you got to practice at it. Yeah. Repetition. And we tell them that. We give them a lot of that repetition. You go back over it if you forget. I mean, it's a continual thing. Math is no different than any other. It's like sport, learning a musical instrument, learning a game. And some people say, well, can my child learn math? And my question always is, can your child play games of any kind? Well, yeah, my child's good at games. They love video games. Well, if they can play video games successfully, or card games, or chess, or checkers, whatever, they can learn math. It's no different. It's the same skill set. I might add that one of the things that makes the calculator so good in the beginning is kinesthetic. They're learning by doing. And in fact, throughout the program, they're learning by doing. They're doing problems. And always they have to get out and do the calculation at the end to do the arithmetic. So it's very kinesthetic.
Okay.
And that's part of the thing. It isn't just like, oh, here's some theory, somebody talking, and you got to do some theory. It's like we're solving the problems. We're using the tool.
And I think you mentioned before that you continue to use and improve upon technology throughout your entire tier system, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
In fact, we could talk about that maybe in another video if we want to talk about the upper tiers, because it is really fascinating today. There is a tool out there today that we use in the upper tiers that is magical. It's only been available since 2009. It's that new. And it's phenomenal, and I will tell you about that in another video sometime.
All right, cool. Well, I think we've heard a lot about the Practical Math Foundation. Maybe we'll leave it there for now and start another video sometime.
Sounds good. Thanks, Kevin.
Awesome. Thanks, Greg.
My pleasure.